Server restart in 3, 2, 1.
Alright, welcome back to another episode of Server Restarts In. This is a weekly World of Warcraft podcast where three opinionated players like to get together and discuss their thoughts and ideas about the current state of the game. My name is Jim, joined by Kristen.
Hi.
And Brian.
Hello.
And today is a shit day. It is a Sunday morning after daylight savings time when people like to stay up late. I am not without sin on this. I stayed up late watching anime, even though I didn't intend to. So, butt tired.
Well, just your butt tired.
Just my butt is tired.
Butt tired.
Butt tired.
Butt tired. Okay.
But anyway, so patch 905 dropped Tuesday, so it's been nearly a full week of the changes, covenant changes, some minor class changes. I don't think it affects any of us as far as like classes are concerned. Introduction of valor points, and I have to say that this week has been the week most recently that we've actually played World of Warcraft quite a bit.
This is the week of the most activity.
Yeah, and it's totally driven by the bullshit gates they put in for
Yes.
Valor.
Well,
Yes.
okay. First.
Well,
Okay,
no.
no. Our in the game maybe it originated like as a seed from like the Valor stuff, but really it was more of a desire for pushing keys, right? You know, just kind of trying to elevate that dungeon stuff, get some people together and do dungeons and push keys, right? So
It's the whole like we're actually burnt out on the game. We still like it, but it's hard to find things to do
well,
for some reason.
yeah, it wasn't the content changes that really necessarily drove us to playing. It was actually having people, right? Getting a dungeon group together and doing that, right? You know, it's like I guess last week we spent our raid session working on the Denathrius fight, and we got to phase 3 several times. It's that second phase is a bit dicey, but it's just going to take a little bit of getting used to for us. But we had the first phase down pretty damn good.
Healing it sucks.
I bet.
The first phase is easy to heal, but the second phase just sucks because everybody's all over the place.
Yeah, which we had to work on, that's all.
Yeah.
And we only had 10 people, so like some of our regulars were absent, so it was just a straight 10-man, so it was that changes the dynamics a little bit. So
The struggles of a super casual guild.
yeah,
You
well, not only that, but we only had one ranged, 2 ranged.
Yeah.
We had a hunter and a shadow priest, and so we had like Brian on his warrior leaping over to kill those ads and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and anybody with like
That was
door
kind of
shadows.
fun though.
It
'Cause
was.
we timed it just right. It was perfect.
Yeah.
When he sucks you back in. But
Yeah,
if you got it.
That's rough.
If you didn't finish it in time though, like I was stuck there for like 30 seconds.
Right.
Yeah,
Watching everybody fight.
that's part
Watching the DPS meters as it's going down.
As
and
I
you're
go
like-
down, yeah.
and you're like,
Well-
God damn it, my DPS.
at that point though, it's more function than you know what I mean. It's like,
Sure, I know. It's just
It worked
funny.
out really well though, so I'm glad.
and that's part of having a small guild where we don't
enforce.
we don't enforce
rules.
comps, right?
Yeah.
It's just like we want people to play the class they want to play. The only thing we kind of do enforce is like, okay, we have our tanks, we have our primary healers, and as far as DPS, whatever you want, right? We don't want to force people into like certain classes or certain role or certain DPS specs or whatever, because we want people to have fun playing, right? So it does come with its limitations, which were fairly evident last night. But
They always are with the ranged melee thing. We're always melee heavy, and you know, it is what it is. We just have to adjust to that, and sometimes that just means we have to overgear fights to do it because we just don't have the
or adapt. Because
Right.
what we did with the Denathras fight was we adapted our strategy to account for our weaknesses, and
Yes.
it worked out. Now we just have to get everybody to not run around like chickens with their heads cut off.
It's hard.
It's
I will
Yeah.
say that fun is very that fight is very fun.
Yeah.
no,
fun
it's
military fight.
very
I mean,
interesting. Everything is different. Each phase is different.
I really think Castle Nathria has been a really fun raid. Like, I have enjoyed it very much. I mean, maybe it's different at higher levels, but on normal, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of different mechanics. It doesn't feel overly punishing. I don't think from a ranged, because I've been both a ranged DPS and a healer, it doesn't feel, but I haven't done it as melee. Does it feel punishing as melee?
I don't know. I mean, I usually don't have problems with stuff, so I wouldn't know.
Brian, does it feel punishing as melee?
I mean, compared to previous raids,
Right.
not really. I mean,
Yeah.
it just feels like you're always getting punished in melee.
I mean, so it's just
You're like the punching bag.
I
think it's worse. It's kind of like the other night when we were talking about stuff in Mythic Plus. I think it's worse because as I get older, I can tell that I'm my reaction time is delayed more and more, and you know, as since this expansion has been floor things heavy,
Yeah.
you know, like stuff popping up on the floor and everything like that. Like it's really just been me playing top down. Just to keep up with it. So I wouldn't say like it's probably not more than it was in the past, you know, because even like if you remember the Nazal fight when you go into the gate and then dance around from each one, like that was
fire things or whatever.
That was horrifying. But in reality, like the good thing about being a warrior in my case is that with heroic leap, like
you got some mobility options.
Yeah, I can bounce out. I can stay in stuff longer, like especially in the Denathrius fight. Whenever he does the when Remoria does the pies placement in the first phase, I can stay in that casting zone until he gets to range with my charge, and I can charge straight out of it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so because that was him teleporting out or whatever he does to the tank.
Yeah, if
so I can sit in DPS on him, and then when he teleports to range, then I could charge out of it, and I didn't have to worry too much. So
yeah, see,
I guess it's like it weighs itself out for the most part, but it will always feel way more punishing in melee than it ever was in.
I've had to do stuff like that as a DK as well. You know, it's just like you find the little tricks that allow you to subvert mechanics, or you know, not ignore them, but work them with your class. Like anything,
adapt to it. Really,
anything with a pushback, like in like the mother fight in Uldir, right? That's the Cahoon fight, right? Is Uldir?
Yep.
Yeah. So when you're in the room and the vents push you towards the firewall, it's just like, okay, Death's Advance, I don't go anywhere. I can sit there and stay in DPS. You know what I mean? It's just like knowing what your class has that you can exploit, basically. That's, I think, what makes that's fun in this game, to like figure out how you can do something or work around mechanics with your limitations of your class.
That kind of goes in hand with what she was saying about overgearing it too, because the fun part is we adapt to this stuff in this way because we're so small and so, like, you know what I mean, like we're loosey goosey enough where it's fun, but that comes with the consequence of not being I guess you might say a min-maxed raid team, but at the same time, like, while it's fun, you don't get rewarded for it. You don't get rewarded for adapting to You know what I mean? Because if at that point, yeah, we are technically overgearing. We've been overgearing normal Nathria for almost the whole time.
Some
With the
people-
exception of like the first couple weeks.
No, we have
that-
for the most part, yeah, because of Mythic Plus. I mean, we have a couple people who don't Mythic Plus at all, but most of the people Mythic Plus, and we
Yeah.
do overgear it. I mean, you get 200 item level gear from the raid, and we're all over 200 item level, so we do overgear it.
But the reality is, like, we're just not going to get rewards out of adapting to the strategy and completing it.
Yeah.
Although it is fun to be able to have that setup, and
Yeah.
that's kind of. I mean, I think that feeds back into some other discussions we've had about, gearing and raid rewards and stuff like that, and difficulty and stuff. But yeah, it just kind of it's fun, but it sucks at the end of the day that, like, whenever we do defeat the boss, it's going to be maybe we get an upgrade, probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, as far as like strategies, like different strategies not netting anything, I think they maybe tried to do that with, like, how like achievements, if you do it like a certain way, you can get things. Like if you do like Glory of the
Yeah,
Nathria
the
raid.
problem with that is that they've gotten so uncomfortable. I mean, they kind of always have, even when they started achievements like in Naxxramas. I remember the one I do remember trying to do, and I was playing a hunter during that raid. I think it was 10-man. Was the thing that spits the spores out and they travel towards you?
Lotheb,
Is that the fight?
the heel fight?
You had to do something with those spores to get an achievement, and I remember us trying to do that, like the first time we ran that fight.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was like,
It's
let's
not-
not do that.
Yeah.
It's not a first time you do that fight. It's you can do the
Yeah.
fight and then
Well, that's what I mean. Like,
overgear it.
you're not really. It's not like you're forming a strategy. You're just trying to figure out how to get that achievement at that point. And again, that's a system that doesn't
Yeah.
really. It's not a rewarding system. It's just a gamer score system, and that's while it's fun. Probably after the fact that you have it on farm, like in this case where we're trying to adapt to something to defeat the boss with the resources that we have at the level that we are.
yeah.
Like, it would be nice to be fairly compensated for that effort,
Mm-hmm. I guess it's what I kind of imagined that Mythic Plus was going to be like. And I think this is why I was so disappointed with Mythic Plus, is I thought that it was going to be more like that. Like, and they put the timed component on it, and that's fine for people who enjoy timers, but I really don't like timers. I much more prefer maybe the artificial difficulty that we have going into raids, where we're doing stuff and not doing it the meta way or the ideal way. We're doing it
Our way,
our way.
to quote Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, and it's harder. We're making it harder. We're making more challenging content for ourselves than Blizzard is making, because we're not using the ideal compositions, or we're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're doing we're going in and doing like an all melee team when, it's recommended that you at least have some ranged, or, you know what I mean? Like, so I wish Mythic Plus was more like that, more about overcoming challenges by using maybe the utilities that you have available to you, or maybe they give you, like we have the Covenant abilities. Well, maybe in certain dungeons, they give you a list of utility things that you could use in the dungeon, to more like a puzzle, I think, would have been more to my liking for Mythic Plus than a stupid timer.
Well,
A timer just feels lazy. Like,
It is.
gotta
It is
go fast.
completely.
Gotta go fast. Gotta go
Well,
fast.
I mean,
it's
it's an evolution of their challenger mode dungeons, which were
Oh god, that was
timer-based.
Miss the Pandaria or something.
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that, wasn't
Yeah.
well, that's exactly what it is. It's like, how fast can you do the dungeon? And didn't they have
Yeah.
leaderboards for that?
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
But
that's
you didn't get rewards from it. I
no,
don't
you
think. I
did.
think you only
did.
got that set of armor that you
God, yeah, but that armor, I still to this day wish I hadn't missed out on that druid armor. It is so
Yeah.
good.
It was cool stuff.
It is so good. Every
But
time.
that's exactly what it should have been. I absolutely agree. Like the timer is the worst.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing in the world. In that, you know what I mean? Because we could struggle as much as we can on the very last part of the dungeon, like, and kill the first part, no big deal.
Yeah.
And then that timer timer now is tied to not only, the next key, the loot, but it's also now tied to a system and another arbitrary system they fucking put in.
Yeah.
To progress through valor point upgrades.
Yeah, that's very frustrating to me. I not only so I'm sitting here on obviously I'm super I don't play a lot. We did 3 Mythic Plus dungeons the other day, and that was a lot for me.
We did 4.
We did 5? We did not.
We did 1 on Thursday, 4 on Friday.
Oh, we did 4 on Friday?
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah. And towards the end, my brain was mush. Like, that was too many. That was probably too many. I don't know how people do it all day. I don't know how people do it all day and have that degree of being able to actually competently play their class, because towards the end I was flagging. But crap, I forgot my point. Damn it.
Well, that was also 3 straight hours of running that stuff. So if we were actually focused on one boss and trying to get that down in a raid, like, that time frame is fine.
Right.
But yeah, like, by the time we got to Singing Depths, it was I was having a hard time.
Yeah. So I remembered my point. So now I'm sitting on a little over 500 valor, right? With nothing I can do with it, because I have maybe one piece of gear that I could upgrade, which makes me so mad, because I have all this gear in my bags that I wish they would have made upgradable. Like, that's so frustrating to me, especially as a hoarder.
Well, not to mention that you have to get to 10 to rank up to 9 now? Like, if you clear 5s, then you can rank up into 7 and 8.
I don't know what the levels are.
I think to go to rank 9, you have to
upgrade
to
levels
clear 10s
on the
then.
gear. Because it goes up to 12.
I didn't even look at the rank things. Yeah, so what? Up to 5s?
All the ranks that we got, for the most part, I think we got 1-7, but most of them were
like
ranked
6 out of 12, yeah.
Yeah, but I thought it was just 5. I thought it was just those achievements. So you just needed 5, 10, and 15.
Right, but what he's saying is those achievements unlock a block of upgrades, because the upgrade goes from 1 to 12.
You get
can
the
upgrade
Keystone
up to,
Explorer for 5s, then you can
go up to item level 207. That's how I'm like.
Right, but that's like upgrade like 5 on the thing, right? So there's 12 upgrades on an item. Unlocking or timing all plus 5s allows you to lock up to a certain upgrade level, which is equivalent to that item level. There's like all these numbers.
Yeah, I know, it's stupid. They're overcomplicating it, which is what they always do. People say, "This is what I want," and then Blizzard says, "Well, okay, this is what you're gonna get, but not really. It's like what you're gonna get with a twist." Yeah. It's like what is the thing? The monkey's paw, right? That's always what Blizzard does, where this is what you're going to get, but it's always the bad version.
Well, not to mention that now you have to try and get your
best
re-earn your best mythic gear, and then begin to upgrade it. And by that point, there's a good chance that you might cap out in valor.
Yeah.
Just because it is incredibly low when you look at the cost of upgrades. Like two-handed weapons is 1,000. One-handed weapons is either 500 or 750. The helm, chest, and legs are 475.
Yeah.
Like the cheapest one is like
200.
Your rings and stuff, and they're 250.
There should not
So-
be a cap on Valor. I think it's stupid that there is. There should be maybe a cap on how much you earn, but there shouldn't be a cap on how much you can hold.
Well,
because if
and that's
you're
exactly the thing they flip flop. Like,
Yeah.
and even still, like, I don't think there should be a cap on what you can earn, because now they have these caps to get to. You know, like I said,
Well-
you have I think somebody looted a rank 7, right? So now once you get all 5s cleared, then you can upgrade that to rank 8, and that's a 207, right? And now at that point, you got to clear all 10s.
Sure.
You know, so you got to work to that point, then you can get up to rank 10, which is a 213.
Sure,
Yeah,
but there's
like-
people who are already doing 20s. You know what I mean? So those people just have carte blanche to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, no, and that's what I mean.
So
Like,
that's-
this is more of like they've gated lower end.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say lower end people,
Right.
but you know what I mean? Like people that aren't super hardcore. And
Right.
it's,
Yeah, people that
why?
doing 20s
Why are you
aren't gonna-
gating this again?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It feels bad if you're a lower end player who can't do that stuff or who
No,
hasn't.
like if they got rid of the gates for upgrading, I think this would be fine. Because
Right.
like I have somewhere between 700 and 900 valor already.
Yeah.
That's doing world quests and all the stuff
yeah.
you did the other
Oh,
night
I
and
don't do any
everything.
of that.
So
I'm not even gonna tell you guys how much I have.
I mean, that's fine.
But-
you play
Like,
every day.
And at that point, why
Like-
not stick the upgrades on the stuff we already have?
You know, I played that one day with Mythic Plus, and that was it. And that was the only thing I did. I didn't go and do callings or whatever bullshit they want you to. I mean, I'm not even rank 40 yet. I just hit 38, and that was just completely from doing Mythic Plus, where they gave you emblem stuff.
I
So
just hit 39 on my shaman today.
yeah,
doing
you're
stuff.
higher on your
Oh,
alt
I'm
than I am on my
34.
main.
I'm 34. Yeah.
Yeah, you're higher on your alt than I am on my main. I mean, but that's
I
fine.
do like
you
that
still
system.
Like
I'm
playing.
glad that they sprinkled renown.
Yeah, I
throughout
am too.
Almost everything.
It does, because like I hadn't checked my renown in game since renown 12. So I'm like, oh, the thing popped up and said 39. I'm like, okay, well, let me go look at the thing. I opened it up and it went, psh, 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 you know, going through each one. I'm like, oh, it's been a while.
Yeah. I mean, and that's fine.
The
That's,
catch up
know,
system is nice.
Yeah,
Well, and it's just like, yes, you're not 40, and neither are you, Brian. You know, you guys are still low, but you could go do no. What I'm
We're
saying,
still low, Brian.
you're
But
not.
it doesn't
not
throw
maxed.
us off.
But you could go out, do a few things, and catch up
Yes.
real quick. You're not going to be
Yeah.
gated by
Right.
2 or
yes.
3 renown a week. So it's like, Brian, you don't have 3 weeks left to do it. You could do it in a week.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
not to mention that the system is very passive, and you get
Yeah.
rewards from it that are, you know, mostly tied to your covenant stuff and a few mounts and junk like that. But I actually like that. That I like the passiveness of it, and that
Yeah, I
you
do
just
too.
do things and open up. I think that's kind of worked out really well.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see if they continue to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
Yeah,
Very
I do
much.
think that the covenant system that they have is very alt friendly.
The less I have to play, the better.
I mean, you still have to play to do the stuff,
I know.
But-
I know.
but I mean, but
I
it's
jest.
very yeah, you jest, but there's some bitterness behind that jest.
I mean, there is, but that's okay.
But-
it's fine.
No, it's-
you know.
I was just gonna say earlier, I was looking in the game and somebody ran by with a clan tag or a guild tag of pink fuzzy bunnies. Somebody stole our guild from Guild Wars 2
Oh God.
and brought it into World of Warcraft.
Oh God. Pink fuzzy bunnies, and the tag was aw.
Yeah,
What
in
was
Guild
it?
Wars 2, yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
yeah, it was just weird seeing that.
That's
in WoW.
hilarious. Oh man.
I'm gonna hunt them down and kill them all.
Pink fuzzy
Um,
bunnies.
Yeah, we like.
So
we'd
if
like
you,
Chris
if you
to name
already had if you had already cleared 5s or higher, you automatically got that achievement.
that. Yes,
that what it
because
was?
it's internally tracked. It's not an achievement, and it's not even a feat of strength. The 10s might be, and the 15s are, but I don't think the 5s are.
Right.
I found
Oh.
a macro, and I think I posted it somewhere where you can run it, and it'll add it to your achievement tracker in game.
Yeah, I saw that.
Even though they're not technically achievements, like you can't find them. Like I use like Overachiever or whatever the achievement add-on is,
yeah.
and even if you search for Keystone, it doesn't come up with them, meaning that they're not even exposed to that API. So, but you can do it and track them and luckily you can right click on them and untrack them, because if you click on them, it doesn't open them up in the thing, so you can't uncheck the box, which would have been
Right.
fucking
right,
annoying.
But it is account wide though.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes, I did read that it was account wide. So if any of your characters, you can do them on multiple characters. So once one character has that, all your characters have the upgrade stuff.
Like I'm gonna do it on multiple characters. I can't even do it on one.
But yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I guess
God.
that's not too bad because then you don't have a bunch of 220 geared alts running around. If you don't complete it at least once, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
I
It's
think-
hard to say whether that's a bad thing or not, but
I mean, so back to the gating thing. I kind of understand it, because you don't want people to sit and just do +5s and get, mythic level gear out of it, right? You don't want to be able to have people just do the low end dungeons, farm all the valor point, take those items and boost them up to like a +20 rank, like upgrade 12. So because
yeah, but I mean that by that point though, like
they want
you're most likely going to progress in a key, and if you don't, then you're done. Then you kind of run out of keys at a certain point. So
right,
Yeah,
but it's
right.
even to get to that point, I don't think that like we're talking about a timeline of most likely somewhere between 2 and 4 months for the next patch. So if I don't think there's a time. I don't think that there's time for that. Now maybe when we recycle and start the next patch, this comes into play a little bit more effectively. But
I think you could do it, because while there is a cap on how much valor you can have, it's like any other currency. You would spend it and then get more and upgrade. You could upgrade stuff all the way to the max, right? If there wasn't those gates in there. So
well, it's probably going to be like everything else they do. Like, what was the system where they recycled every patch, and they gave us silver,
Yeah.
Titan Residium or something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Isn't that what they were doing last expansion?
yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing that kind of sucks, is this is just for season 1, and we're gonna have to do this all over again for season 2, and
right,
season
but-
3, and season 4. So it sucks
Well,
because
Well,
however
at
many
this point,
seasons.
then it feels more like Diablo, like where you have seasons and you kind of gear up and then you go do it again or
Yeah.
whatever,
Like,
but
it's
it's been like that though, because of like
No,
with-
I know. I'm not necessarily
Yeah,
complaining about
but
it, but I kind of like how it lines
it's-
up that way.
it's been like that for the like the mount and the whatever, for the non you know what I mean?
well, it was like
for
that for
the
Azerite armor.
achievements.
It was like that for Azerite armor.
You didn't have to redo those achievements for Azerite armor. You've already
Right, but what I'm saying is that
You'll have to-
there's a new block of stuff that you would have to earn, and if you didn't have to redo the achievements, like so in Mythic Plus, it's like for BFA, when the next season came out, to get the higher level things, you still had to complete the content. You weren't gonna get, so you keys were hard again, like the difficulty level kind of reset. So at the current gear level you were, unless you were like super maxed out, you weren't jumping into +10s, +15s right away. Some people did because they were super geared out, but people like us, we maybe jumped in at 5s. So we would be getting a gear equivalent at 5s, which would net us some like small minor upgrades or, whatnot.
Right.
And
But what I'm saying is we're going to have to go, like, as much of a pain in the ass this is, like, we have to go and farm these stupid all +5s in every freaking dungeon. We're going to have to do that again and again and again. And that feels bad. I don't want to have to freaking keep going and doing that. Like, that feels like a really transparent gear freaking treadmill.
Well, I will say, like, I hope when that system comes back into the next patch, that it feels more fluid with earning gear than it does now. Now that it's become mid-patch and we're above the midpoint of what it's targeting, like, it doesn't make sense. It was like trying to solve a problem that existed a few months ago, and you know what I
Well-
mean? Because rank 6 is item level 200, and that's normal Denathrius, and that's been weekly rewards at the very least have been 200. If you barely do your mythics for the week, your vault is going to have close to 200 or higher. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
all that kind of. You know what I mean? 200 was a very weird point to start midway with.
Yeah, and
Like-
I think part of that too is because, like you said, it was midway through, right? But they weren't necessarily maybe trying to correct the problem from the beginning of the patch, but to prevent it at the start of the next season, right?
No, yeah, I think you're right. I think it's
It's-
both. They
it's
probably
a-
started that way because next time it's going to feel a lot more fluid.
Yeah,
Right,
at least
right.
It's-
I
yeah.
hope it does.
I do too. I feel like they looked at it and they said, okay, what was the problems when this started? When the next season starts and this cycle starts again, how is it going to not feel that way?
Right.
And let's get this in so that way we have time to refine it before then, right? So now they got the rest of this season. They're going to hopefully maybe tweak it, refine it, pay attention to feedback and all that kind of stuff. And, sure, there's going to be complaints like we have, right? Like this is stupid. Now we have to go do all these things, but like
Hopefully at that point though, like you're already pushing 2.5s, and it's not like you have to go back and redo them again type of thing. Like in the next patch, you're just going to be pushing at that point, and you're just going to get that checkpoint that allows you to upgrade to the next level. And that's, in my opinion, I think that's going to feel a lot more.
It'll probably
fluid
feel
than
more.
it does now.
Yeah, it'll probably feel more organic because we're already going to be doing that. We're going to know. I mean, except there's not going to be, because I know in BFA there were just some dungeons that if that dungeon came up, you just didn't do it.
Yeah.
There were certain dungeons that we had low runs on, and that was it. So I don't know. Like obviously, Sanguine Depths was a bitch on Tyrannical, right?
Yeah.
And
we've learned our lesson. Don't do it on that week. We think the problem is we just need to learn which dungeons to avoid on which weeks. So Sanguine Depths probably isn't terrible on Fortified, but on Tyrannical, it's super shitty because,
yeah, and like we're just trying to jump back into it and get used to it. But like, as long as there's a pattern where dungeons are viable for us at least, right? For our group, as long as there's that, pattern where, eventually we'll do everything because there's no reason to avoid it on a certain week or on every week kind of thing, then yeah, those achievements are going to become more organic.
Yeah.
As long as the keystone generation is more random and we don't just all get the same fucking keys over and over again.
I don't mind the prideful affix, honestly. I think it's actually kind of fun.
It's like the Bwansamdi one. The reaping one? Yeah, it's like reaping, but you get a buff at the end.
Yeah, and it's just one target, and I like that.
Well, yeah, it's better than a horde of ghosts coming after you to fucking rape your ass.
Yeah. But I like that. I'm enjoying it. I think it definitely adds to the gameplay because it makes you think,
when do we want to do it?
When do we want to do it? We want to time our 20% so we get the pride buff for the bosses, or for the hard packs if it's a fortified week.
Yeah.
Right. So I do like that. I feel like that some of their affixes they do really. I don't like storming.
Storming is bullshit.
Not really a big fan.
It's Brian's favorite. I could tell.
I don't even remember which one's which, to be honest.
That's the tornado.
Yeah.
Prideful's the plus 10 one with the red ad.
Yeah.
In the balls.
And
Prideful wasn't bad.
No, I like
Prideful down. I actually didn't mind that at all.
Yeah.
Once people realize, hey, if you got balls, don't move.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's
balls on me.
Balls on me. I've got balls.
Part of the problem is some of those pulls were a pain in the ass with storming.
Yeah.
Because
and especially in Sanguine with
the small corridors.
The small corridors. Yeah, that was an exercise in moving quickly.
Yeah. Well, and not over moving too, because sometimes that is very similar to the boss in the Eternal Palace.
Ashara.
not
Radiance of.
Yeah, the Radiance fight
Yeah.
with the big thing in the center where you split the group up.
Yeah, but
and
that
they would
one
summon
was.
tornadoes.
I think I don't. Do the tornadoes behave the same way? Like because in Ashara you could predict, right? So you knew where it spawned, and then if you stood in the spot where it spawned, then you knew you weren't ever gonna like. That was what
Yes,
I
the-
did.
they-
You knew
Yeah,
it wasn't
these were,
ever
these
going
were
to.
magnetic. You could
Yeah.
watch these do their spiral because they weren't a circle. They would do their spiral, and then they would lock on to somebody else and jump.
Right.
That was the worst part because
Are you sure
couldn't
new ones
predict
weren't
it.
just spawning?
New ones might have just been spawning.
I don't
No,
I don't
no,
recall
no.
seeing
You
them
could
do-
you if you sat and watched. Trust me, I had top
Okay.
down and I was watching these things.
Dude,
I was
Brian,
trying
I
to
do
cycle
too.
my way around,
Right.
and I watched that thing jump. It was a short distance. It was like a character block distance. You know what I mean? Like if you were standing on the next row, it's almost like it decided to look to somebody else and then start its next iteration. From that point, it didn't like jump across the level, but it was enough to be like, oh my god, if I don't pay attention, I can't cycle with these things.
Right.
You know, and it becomes very complicated, especially when 4 popped in a corner.
Oh
yeah.
man.
That was the
I'm
worst.
sorry.
That was.
No, it was,
Brian's
still,
like-
it was still fun, but it was very frustrating for like
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out a good little comfortable,
There's-
rotation to
there's-
dealing with them. And I
There's
just
no
couldn't
there's
get it
no
down.
pattern. You have to watch for the swirls on the ground, not be on it, and then wait for them to spawn because they're either going to go clockwise or counterclockwise because it's different. They don't always
Yeah.
spin the same direction.
That's what I mean. Like it was
They
very.
don't.
It was very predictable in the Radiance fight, which was nice. You knew they were going to go left, so you stood on it. As soon as it went, you stood on it, and
You
that
stood
was
where
it.
it spawned
You
because
stood
it always radiated outwards, but the radiant or the distance that it radiated, it was enough that once it left that spot, you could stand there and it'd be fine.
Yeah.
These had tighter circles, so you couldn't stand.
And they were
where it's-
moving too. Like
Right.
they were swirling. They weren't doing total circles, or they were moving while they were circling, which is the same difference. But
Yeah.
but no, the fact that they start out on the ground too is another part. Like, God, stop making ground effects.
There's
for the love of God. Like,
There's a lot of things that make it hard to see ground effects.
Yeah.
Abomination Limb does a lot of shit.
Oh my god, I hate that thing so much.
well, that's what I'm glad they got rid of the Conqueror's banner on the ground. Now you wear it instead of dropping it in a spot.
So I kind of wish that they would do something, and maybe they do, and I just haven't looked at it, but in certain other games, you can turn off other spell effects, and I kind of wish that Blizzard would do something like that, so I don't have to see Abomination Limb, because that is something that I do not need to see, and it makes it effing hard.
Or give you the option to turn down other players' spell effects.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Not off, but at
Well,
least down. Because
Yeah.
some things you want to be able to see, because if you just turned it off, like things like maybe Healing Rain or something like that. Like
Well,
stuff you
that's
had
what
to
I
see,
mean.
you know,
There's
a slider.
in Final Fantasy specifically, you can turn off all, you can turn off some, like it's a partial, and then you basically still see the healing things, or you can turn off all if you don't even care to see any of those. But I mean,
Yeah, no, I get it, and it does make it hard because like throw Death and Decay down, you throw Tar Trap down, you throw A-Bomb Limb, you throw Remorseless Winter out there, you put on
yeah.
Breath of Cindergosa and all that stuff, and then it's just a mass of shit.
And that is one of the reasons, not the main reason, but one of the reasons why I do not play Melee. Because being up on the boss with all of that shit happening is impossible for me. I can't see anything. I'm like, I don't know where my character is. I don't know where.
Speaking of not seeing anything, this week in Torghast, Unending Darkness,
Oh God,
or whatever the fuck it's called.
That was
Brian, this
that
is
was
one of the
actually
amazing
fun.
things. There's 2 versions of this new gimmick power, right? One is you get a button and you hit it, and for 30 seconds you're
can't see
blind.
anything.
Your screen is black. All you can see are nameplates and your UI.
Yep.
But it increases your damage, and you get powers that increase like your mastery or your haste or other things while you're under this effect. The other version is every 5 enemies you kill, it puts you in there, and then you have to kill 5 to get out. And The only problem with that is that you can't control it. So if you get a Torghast map that has a lot of ledges,
You're screwed.
you got to be very careful. So we had, I don't remember which one we were doing. It wasn't Mortigar. It was the first one before that. But
I didn't take it for the first one. I took it
did.
from Mortigar.
And like there was these, it was all like the Stoneborn mobs or whatever. And like they do like the frontal slams and all that stuff and the AoE cleave. So like trying to stay out of that while being blind was a fucking challenge.
Yeah.
I did it, but go ahead.
Is this one of the flavor weeks?
Yes.
So you remember how you did
Okay.
the dog one, and then there was the Echo of Chorus or the chorus, the Soul Chorus one. This is this is the new other one, and it's kind of fun.
It is kind of fun. I only really used it. Well, at first I only really used it on bosses, but then I kind of got brave and I started using it on packs. And holy F, you do like 75% more damage.
Yes,
Oh,
it's and then like you get powers that buff it and all that stuff. It's crazy. So you
Yeah.
should give it a try.
it was fun. I enjoyed it.
I do need to finish getting my best in slot legendary. So and I haven't played Torghast in over a month, so I should go back in and go.
I did Torghast and I capped. I apparently I didn't get to. We did an entire wing and I didn't get an entire wing's worth of Soul Ash because apparently I was capped. I was like, no.
Oh, that feels bad.
So I had to go make 2 stupid legendaries to 235, so that way I could uncap.
because you don't get it in the mail. It's like you
Yeah.
either get it there or you don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was dumb. I was like,
It's-
crap.
But if you don't do it often and you don't pay attention to it, it's easy to do that. Like
yeah,
Right.
I didn't think I was anywhere near cap.
I capped, but luckily I think I capped on a Soul Ash mission, so I didn't lose that much.
Yeah,
But-
I think that's why is because I had been doing Soul Ash missions instead of actually. Well, I mean, we do Torghast every week anyway, but I'd
Right.
also been supplementing it with Soul Ash missions, and I've won every one of those. So
Yeah. So yeah, the blindness thing, it's cool.
it was actually a lot of fun.
And if you're running with people, turn on friendly nameplates because that'll help you with
Yes.
your positioning.
Yeah.
I thought of that after the fact and told Kristen about it.
Yeah.
Like, you should do that. She's like, oh, okay, because then you can
And
see
it
where
was
your
so
friends
much-
are.
Well, because one of the things supplemental powers that you can get to it is if you're standing near
5 yards.
yeah, within 5 yards of people, you do like an increased amount of damage. or
If
something
they're
like
doing
that.
the same, if they're
If
doing
they're
the
in
darkness
it, in
thing.
it too, except for then if somebody else takes the you do harmful things. We summoned the Terragru at the end because we wanted to see if we could kill the Terragru. But we were stacked up on each other, and I died to the.
We went
well,
to
I
kill
died
the-
to the Terragru.
We went to kill
but-
the final boss, and we all stacked, and I pulled it to us, and they popped all their shit, and then I just died.
Oh yeah, I did like 100k DPS. Like the
I was
thing
just
died,
like-
it popped like that.
And I was like,
dang.
well, that was fun.
Yeah. But then so Jim left and we stayed in and we're like, "Oh, let's summon the Terragru." And we did that and I died because the other person's stuff was killing me, and then I got smacked by the Terragru and he just meleeed me to death, and yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
We didn't kill him. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Shocker.
You'll get to kill him in the next patch when he's a raid boss.
Yeah.
Hey, I almost killed him that one time.
Yeah.
You did,
Yeah.
but didn't he
I
reset?
was only about 4 weeks away from getting him all the way down.
Oh, that's right. I don't know. It's good, I think, to see that maybe a little break kind of helped.
Reinvigorate.
Yeah, a little bit, because I
Yeah.
mean, it's just like, sure, we still kind of have some complaints. We got some complaints up in here.
Complaints.
Complaints about, what's going on and all that stuff, but we can still have fun, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's still a lot of this game that's enjoyable. So it's just like, it's just a matter of doing what's fun, and, sure, we can bitch about the shit, but don't let it, I think, ruin the rest of it, right? It's like,
Yep.
sure, like valor points and all that kind of stuff is kind of a bitch right now. And, maybe you don't fully agree with it, maybe you don't like it and all that stuff, but that's just one aspect of the game. And when it really all boils down to, it's like, this is an MMO, right? This is a game meant to be played with other players. Yes, there are some single player aspects in it, and that's fine. But for the most part, the game's about playing with people and friends and all that stuff. And I think that if you just find something that you can do together and have a good time, even if it's just going out and just doing stupid shit, like going into old instances and just seeing where the fuck you can go, and then everybody getting kicked out because, you know, your internet provider is getting an outage at the time.
That was fun.
And all that stuff.
We need to go back in there and explore some more, because that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, it's just like, there's plenty of stuff to do. You know, it's just finding what is enjoyable, or make something enjoyable. Like with Mythic Pluses, right? It's like, right now, sure, we want to kind of focus on maybe getting those achievements and all that kind of stuff done, which we could do the 5 stuff pretty easy, no problem timing those. It's just a matter of getting the keys and doing them. But it's like, going into it trying to hit the timer at like 10s or above right now for us probably isn't the best thing to do. We should work on getting comfortable in the dungeon, so that way when we do decide to, you know, push to push it, we're prepared. You know, it's like, because Prideful is new for us. We've only done it like 1 or 2 times.
Yeah,
certain dungeons, you know, it's like, we need to figure out the right polls, the right strats, and all that kind of stuff, you know, and we'll figure that out. And that's part of the learning thing. But I think we shouldn't necessarily worry about the timer, so to speak, initially, or at least when we go in and say, okay, we're not going to worry about the timer. We're going to take our time, do these polls, test, you know, ways to go in and out, ways to sneak by mobs and all that kind of stuff. You know, like when we were doing that Spires, and I was pulling stuff on the stairs, you know, it's like, okay, I'm going to have to pull them down because the other mobs come to the top of the stairs and get aggro because that stupid pack of the fucking flying snake birds runs back and forth and doesn't pat like a normal pat.
Yeah.
And so they do that fucking circuit like 6 times where the one mob goes down once, or whatever. Fucking bullshit. But, you know, just figure that kind of stuff out so we know, you know, okay, well, here, pull this shit away so we don't get like 18 things, especially on a bolstering.
And this is why people do that stuff in beta, right? This is how they're able to go in and just wreck shit on live, right? When it first starts, is because they spend all of their time doing it, and because they enjoy Mythic Pluses, you know, and that's great. I'm glad that people like them. I just wish that I liked them, you know, because it feels like Blizzard seems to be pushing more stuff towards Mythic Plus, you know. I mean, they're still making raids and stuff, but, you know, they're doing more gearing. Like, PvP and Mythic Plus seems to be the way you gear your characters, and Raid just feels supplemental, you know?
I part of the problem, again, and we talked about this, too, when we talked about the gearing issues, is that Mythic Plus and PvP are 2 different avenues where you can get higher gear faster in certain scenarios than raiding.
That's what I mean, though. It doesn't feel comparable.
Oh, right, I know, and that's what I'm saying, is that raiding's not going to go away. They're never going to stop making raids. Raids are a core thing, but it's a specific thing. So you could do just raiding and progress that way without having to do the other things. People do the other things, like when you're doing like your Mythic World First type stuff. They're running the keys and all that stuff, and they're pushing that to get the gear, so they either over gear or are already at comparable gear for that content rather than going through the raid stuff. And so you have ways to get stuff for, because it doesn't work the other way, right? You can't necessarily go in, push a bunch of raid content, and gear up a 5-man team to be able to start doing like 10s, 15s, 20s, like at the very beginning. You know, for Mythic Pluses, it's like, or for Keystones, right? Oh, that's the same thing. You know what I mean? It's like you can't do the raid stuff to do the other thing. And because raids come out later than the dungeons, so you can get in and start doing mythics 2-3 days after the thing goes live. So there's that disparity between one avenue for gearing. So you could, you know what I mean? It's just like raiding doesn't allow you to gear up for mythic pluses. But
I'm gonna go on a limb over here and suggest that normal in LFR should reset every 3 days.
instead of weekly,
I'm out of coffee.
or twice a week, or twice a week, basically.
So instead of weekly, it should just every 3 days recycle. There used to be something that recycled every 3 days. I don't remember what the hell it was, but even if it's not every 3 days, it should be more than once a week. If you can go in and do, if you can do the bare minimum for a Mythic Plus level and get the key to do the next one, and your rewards are going to be close to, equal to, or greater than a normal dungeon, then allow the dungeon to be the raid dungeon to be more relevant. But I think the kicker here is with a system like that, the mechanics probably should be more on par with like an LFR or something. You know what I mean? Like, I can't see trying to, because at that point, if you can't complete it once a week, right, it's not going to favor you to try and complete it 3 times a week. But in the case of having gear level that drops at that point, raid has always been some sort of an anchor point for item level gear, right? It always has been, and normal feels like that point because you can't just queue for it, and it takes a certain level of not competency, but a certain level of whatever word you would say for trying to gather people up and get them to do what they need to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a skill you got to have to complete a normal level raid, because even if you have 10's really not a sweet spot. The sweet spot's going to be like what, probably 12 or 13 people. Once you pop in another healer and you have enough where you can not be affected by too much range or too much melee,
Right.
That's the sweet spot of raiding, and at that point you're trying to coordinate enough people that it adds that level of complexity that you don't get rewarded for. So with that being said, a system like that where it would recycle every 3 days probably can't be a long dungeon, and it probably can't have the same level of mechanics that a normal might have right now.
Right.
So,
No, and I think that especially since they removed Warforging and Titan Forging, that's not a bad idea to have something like that, because it's not like you can go get...
reflect on that. Reflect on that for a second, though. I know you guys said you guys mentioned, or one of you mentioned before, that you don't like that system.
Which
In
one?
this case, from
Titan
this
Forging.
perspective,
Oh yeah, I don't like
Would
Titan
you-
Forging.
from this perspective, though, do you think it would work out better if we had that system in place?
If you could do raiding multiple times a week? No, because the content...
No. Titan Forging, Warforging, whatever you called it. I don't remember the last thing it was called, but
No.
like in this case, if normal, I don't remember what normal procced to before, but if it procced a little bit higher sometimes, do you think that would help fix the feeling of not being rewarded by overgearing normal, despite the fact that we haven't completed it yet?
I think Titan Forging was in concept. I think it was a neat idea, but again, it puts that onus on going and farming gear to try and get that. You know what I mean? It's like, and because
What
it's
if
so
what if it only procced up to the highest item level that drops on the boss? On the final boss.
No, I don't like the proc thing at all. I think that Valor points kind of fulfill that, because it's a steady way to get that, essentially.
there's a guarantee.
There's a guarantee. That's essentially Titan Forging.
But they didn't add that system onto raid gear, though, did they?
Mm-mm.
No. which I think they should. But that's essentially what valor points are, is a way to get a guaranteed almost warforged item or a titan forged item. It's you're upgrading it, but you're upgrading it on your, and you're picking the things that are getting upgraded rather than just going in and getting lucky on a drop. I'm sorry, but as somebody who does not get lucky on drops, Titan Forge felt bad. My RNG luck is terrible. And when you see
especially
one
if the system
person,
is, if the only way to level or gear up or progress in your gear is to hope for RNG, that's a terrible system. That's completely a terrible system.
Yeah, and to see one person get 4 Titan Forged things in one run and you don't get any, that feels bad. And you're not, you know what I mean?
I don't think Titan forging or war forging is a good idea.
Yeah. Anymore.
I think, because again, like you said, it's just like with it being RNG, there's no guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a valid upgrade path.
It
for
promotes
anybody.
Having to farm shit over and over and over again just to hopefully
It really
get
felt
that.
like at the time it felt a lot more like picking up a random BOE that was higher level than what you had. Like that feeling, that's what it felt like a lot to me at the time. And yeah, obviously we shouldn't have to rely on that by any means. But yeah, I guess
BOE,
I think at that point in time when that was in place, I wasn't necessarily rating nowhere near.
Right, but a BOE at least you can give to somebody.
Yeah.
With a Titan Forge item, you can only really give it to somebody else in the raid if you already have something that's equipped at that eye level.
Don't even get me started on the stupid not being able to give people stuff, because I mean I understand why they did it, because people would force people to do it, quote unquote, which is a whole nother issue. But the fact that if I have an item and it does not have the stats that I need and somebody else can use it, I should be able to give it to them, whether or not the item level is higher or not. That sucks. That feels
especially
bad.
when that system's already in place despite the item level difference. Like we can already
give me
trade
Master
gear
Looter back
within reason, so just let it happen anyways.
Yeah, give me Master Looter
I'm
back.
sorry to say, but like they put these little things in to combat these the selling runs and stuff like that, and they always find a way around it, right?
Well, they put those systems in to combat people being douches, right? So the guilds that would be like, okay, well, we're going to take you on this run, but you have to give us all your loot. What? Or, strong-arming people into, giving their loot up. Which, seriously, if you're in a guild that did that, leave the fucking guild. Don't follow streamers and get in their guild and idolize them. That would be your first problem, right?
Because that happens a lot based on
right.
Big
Well,
streamers. But
I mean, and that's not even.
Sorry, I was gonna say back to the other point. The one thing I wanted to ask before we wrap up is a question that just slipped out of my brain as I was saying that. No. Give me like 20 seconds to try to remember this because it was important.
Okay.
It was something about the upgrade. Oh, yes. So, why do you think they did not add the upgrade system to the raids? Like, what can you even think of a con that would have?
Yeah, I don't. I think I think they didn't do it because they wanted to push Mythic Plus participation, quite honestly. And they don't really, I don't think they need to push raid participation, but I do. I think they wanted to push Mythic Plus participation. But that's spoken as somebody who does not enjoy Mythic Plus, so I don't spend a lot of time. I'd spend a lot of time watching people do Mythic Plus because I enjoy people who have higher levels of play than I. I enjoy watching that aspect of it to see what they're doing and how they're doing it. I love watching Resto Druids do 20 keys because I'm
in that case,
I'm never going to be able to do
what we're
that.
Talking about with the Warforging system, like, would that solve that problem the same way and be more appropriate? Because
in raids,
because if every item dropped, items that were upgradable in a raid, one, you're not going to get it nowhere near as often, right? Like even to refarm that stuff right now,
Oh,
like,
sure.
you'd probably
It's
get
terrible.
a few pieces in a month and then be able to upgrade them would be a great offset to
I don't know.
the
Maybe
to
maybe
the-
Mythic Plus is just the testing ground for PvE content, and then maybe it was too late for them to add it to the raid tier for this stuff because, like you said, it's so far gone, and like there's, I don't know, or maybe they feel like it removes like the whole world first.
Well,
and stuff.
even
I
if
don't
it was
know.
only just upgradable to the next like
I mean,
difficulty or something, you know what I mean? Like, or within the item level range of that raid,
yeah,
which goes up to like 207 on the
207.
final boss.
Yeah.
right. But I mean, you're right. What would be, I mean, because you can still use the Mythic Plus gear that you're upgrading in the raid, so why not upgrade raid gear?
And it's easier to obtain.
Yeah. So
when you
yeah.
talk about just people, right?
Yeah.
Difficulty is one thing, right? You can work on difficulty. You can't work on resource availability.
Right.
Like, that's a constraint that's really hard to work around. And honestly, it should always be more rewarding, right? If you can muster 10 people together to listen, coordinate, and get things done,
Yeah.
you should be rewarded for it. Just like if it scales up to 40, you should be rewarded for that
Yeah.
effort, right?
Yeah.
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 Well, there's definitely some stuff to think about on that, but I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up here now. It's been a good talk. We talked about a little. I don't know, what did we talk about? Talk about Mythic Plus stuff. We talked about Valor points. We talked about gear again. I don't know. It's been a wild ride.
It's been a wild ride.
Yeah, I don't know. Still tired. Daylight savings time can go suck a dick.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Stupid daylight savings
You
time.
can check us out at facebook.com/server restart in. Shoot us a tweet on Twitter, I guess, and whatever the hell is.
Yeah, we
at
don't bird very much.
Yeah, the bird's the word at server_restart. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
Bye.